Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And today we are reviewing the new Goosebumps show that is called Goosebumps The Vanishing.
They couldn't even come up with the title of the show on their own. They had to use the title of a movie, The Vanishing.
So, anyway, it was 8 episodes. They released them all at the same time, which Marco indicated that is a predictor of how good of a series it is.
Well, let's look at the first season. Was terrible. It was abysmal. It was atrocious. It was so bad it completely lowered any respect for Goosebumps that people had. Modern Goosebumps. It was awful. Nobody liked it. The only people who did are lying. They didn't really like it at all. They're just a bunch of fanboys.
Well, it's not rewatchable.
No.
And that's kind of that is a predictor in any movie, TV show, anything you watch. I mean, there's some football games, like there's certain plays. You just want to watch it over and over and over again. And and that includes movies, like Christmas movies you watch every Christmas. But this Goosebumps show, it wasn't good. The acting wasn't good.
The writing wasn't good.
Yeah,
the directing wasn't good.
The storyline.
The titles weren't good.
And
the computer generation wasn't good. The effects weren't good. The music wasn't good.
The only good thing about it was the main adult character. What's his name, Marco?
Justin Long.
Justin Long.
Jason.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Justin. And he is really a good actor to begin with.
Yeah.
And he probably elevated, if there was anything to elevate, his part of the show.
He did. He did.
And that's a good thing for him, because it just shows he can do anything.
Yeah.
And that's good on him.
What I'm trying to get at is the first season hardly had any advertising. They had one trailer for it, which they released a couple weeks before it came out. There were basically no cast interviews at all. There was one or two. And then they released the first half of the season in the first day. So all those things objectively point to saying that was a bad show, number one, and that the Disney executives thought that it was a piece of shit. Now, with the second season, it's a little more weird because there are quite a few cast interviews on YouTube. They might have done them all in the same day. They might have just said, oh, here you go here and interview them. You go here and interview them, all in one day. Or they might have had a bunch of interviews. And there was advertising for it. There were multiple trailers. I did a trailer review. They even released a clip of the show. I don't even think they released a clip for the first season. But the big issue is that they released it all in one day. And I know that other people have done that a lot nowadays, especially Netflix and Amazon with Fallout. Mm. But Disney Plus, when they have faith in a show, they release the episodes week by week. They do not release them all in one day. And they certainly don't release them in January either. That's another thing. Even though it's a TV show, things that are released in January are typically really, really bad, and everybody knows it. So I really don't know. I think maybe Disney said, we're going to give you guys a little bit more of a chance this time by doing more advertising, but we really don't have any faith in the show. So we're just going to release it all in one day, and if it does good, it does good, or if it does bad, it does bad. That's what I think. It's a really bad sign, all the episodes in one day. After the last season, it was only half the season. I mean, that's objective. It's objective fact that the show was bad. It's objective fact that, like, a show that after the first time where they released episodes week by week, they now release it all in one day. That's objectively bad because it shows that, like, oh yeah, we just want to release it and then you forget about it, move on. Right, Safi?
Yeah. Well, another little cutesy thing they did, which they did in the first show, they did it more. I think they emphasized it more. Is, well, the title of it, like I said, was The Vanishing, which kind of reminded me of that Dutch movie that they remade in America, and Kiefer Sutherland played the bad guy, and that's what it wasn't called. I don't think it was called The Vanishing.
No, the original was not, but the remake was. The remake with Kiefer Sutherland was The Vanishing.
Oh, it was okay.
So
that's
what I was saying, Safi. That's what I was saying.
That's when I hear that. That's what I'm thinking. But since it was Goosebumps, you're directed automatically to Goosebumps. Okay, so they did the cutesy little thing, except for the vanishing part of it, that there were 8 episodes, right? So they named each one.
And yeah, and 2 less episodes in the first season. That's another sign of bad quality. Like, oh, you want to make a Goosebumps season 2? Well, sorry, you're only going to get 8 episodes this time, bitch. It's like, that's never a good sign, especially nowadays.
And out of the 8, 7 of them had a title. The last one had no title, which I thought very strange.
That was also very bizarre. That's another sign of bad quality. I mean, they can't even come up with a title. Seriously? Like, that's how lazy they are. You know what they could have done? They could have called the last episode The Vanishing. Why couldn't they have done that? It would have made perfect sense. The ghost vanished at the end. It would have brought a whole new meaning to the show's title.
So, anyway, even though
they're so dumb,
they have these different titles, and guess what the titles were? Titles of books that R.L. Stine wrote.
Yeah.
Initially, junior level books, because my other son, he read them all when they first came out. So he grew up with them because he's like a year or 2 younger or older than R.L. Stine's actual son. So anyway, maybe he ran the stories by him. But anyway, the main story, kind of, even though the chapters are named after different books, was Stay Out of the Basement. Because the main character was played by the actor who played Ross. And I can't remember his name, but I never watched Friends. I didn't really care about it. I may have watched it like for 2 seconds. My parents loved it. My other son says he loves that show. He's watched every episode. My parents watched every episode. I just never got into it. But he played in that, and so I saw how he was, and he was really a nothing character. Because I thought it was kind of a nothing show. And no offense to anybody. I'm sorry if that offends you. To me, it didn't do anything for me. Okay? But anyway, he was really good in this show. He was a perfect dad. In fact, I liked him as the dad, the botanist dad, more than I liked the guy who played the one in the kids show.
But I raised this issue to Safi, is that in the original, you hardly ever got to see him as a real dad because most of the episode he was a bad guy.
He was possessed.
So she's really being unfair to the guy who played him in the original because it's like you didn't even get any chance to see him as the dad. Whereas in this season, it was the opposite, where it was 90% him as a good guy and only 10% he was a bad guy, which was like that one episode, The Boy Who Cried Monster. So, it's a totally different thing. The one thing, though, that they did differently is that they were ballsy enough to name the characters the Brewer family, and that was the last name of the family in the original show.
Oh, it was?
So, but they didn't name them the characters, the first names, though. for the brother and sister, it should have been Casey and Margaret. And, another weird thing that they did was that they made the main people twins.
Yeah,
and
they were fraternal twins.
It really didn't matter at all, except for that one episode where she was like, "You're the screw-up twin, and I have to be the perfect twin." That whole after school special monologue they did at the train station where the blob got on there somehow without anyone noticing, and then did all that damage without anyone noticing or anyone investigating. It would have been a huge deal, even though it's New York. It's New York! Well, in New York, we have blobs on the trains. They do a ton of damage in New York.
Yeah, okay. Well,
right, Safi?
Anyway, the whole story is about, the botanist guy, when he was a kid, like an older kid or a younger kid, his brother and several other kids disappeared. And he saw them disappear, but they didn't really, I can't explain it, but I guess they vanished, like the title of the show. And the police explained it, which was... You know
what else vanished? The audience of Goosebumps. Because nobody watched the show.
So the police said they drowned because they were near a body of water, which was totally not true. So anyway, this is when the bad things start. And when I say bad things, the problems with the series is we talked about, because what we would do, there are 8 episodes, right? So we watched 2 a day. And it was really better that way, because when we watched that other show on Amazon about the video game, we binged so many episodes together. It was unpleasant, even though it was a good show. It was unpleasant. So this spread it out, and we could. It was better. It was more coherent for us to at least watch just 2 at a time.
It gave me more of a chance to really truly analyze all of the terrible things that happened on the show.
Yeah.
Specifically and in full detail, not really even full detail though. I mean, I could go back. I could just go through every single scene and just criticize the show.
But the whole thing revolves around this happening, why it happened, where it happened, and how it affects the present day people. And
so it's basically not Goosebumps. Right, Safi?
Okay. This is another thing. I'll just say this.
Yeah.
The show is not Goosebumps.
I know.
What happens is they have the name of the show. I mean the series, Goosebumps. They just Goosebumps. They put the word Goosebumps in real big, and they filled each letter, to introduce the show, with black ooze, because that's an integral part of the story. This black ooze, okay? And they don't play any music. I thought my recommendation would be, if they really wanted to tie it in with Goosebumps, one little thing they could do, and this isn't hard because Marco saw a video made on YouTube.
Two videos. This guy put the original theme song in the opening for the shitty show, and it made it like a million times better because
it tied it in.
It feels like it fits the show.
Right.
And I will give the show a little bit of credit that it doesn't deserve, because it didn't give me any credit when they stole my idea. They did have some horror music this season, a lot more compared to last season, but it was mostly rap music, terrible rap music.
And it wasn't anything to do with what was going on in the
but
show.
If you took...
One of them was called... I don't know what it was called.
Red Rum.
But they call it Red Rum. You know what that is?
The Shining.
The Shining. There's nothing to do with The Shining in this movie. Nothing. Not one thing. So why would they play a rap song with Red Rum over and over? It said the word Red Rum, Red Rum, Red Rum. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, but if you took this same show and take all that music out of it and put the original show's music in there, I would have given every single episode a better review. Every single one. The finale would have gone to an F to an F plus. A D episode would have gone to a D plus. Every single episode would have gotten an upgrade because at least it would have still had that feel of Goosebumps and the feel of this is a horror show. It's scary, it's unique, it's creative, because that music was really creative. The music they came up with for this show was really boring and generic. It sounded like music for a YA drama, like The Hunger Games or something stupid like that.
Well, they had one historical element where another person disappeared. A camp counselor.
Yeah.
Camp Nightmare, right? Or was it Nowhere? What did they call this camp?
Nightmare.
It was Camp Nightmare. Okay. They played the Association's Windy, which is a song I listened to like in 7th grade. I memorized it. I bought the single. I even have it in my drawer in the other room. I just realized that yesterday when I was looking for some inventory. It's in his jacket and everything. The little 45, Windy by the Association. It's a very good song. You like it, but they didn't even play the whole thing.
It's a very good song. You like it.
But they just played part of it. But, I mean, it kind of stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And the reason why they played it, because the year that this incident happened was the year the song was popular. So, anyway.
Well, but they also played that in Breaking Bad, of course, for different reasons. And I felt like it was much better utilized in Breaking Bad, especially since the Wendy character was an integral part of that episode. That was the season 3 finale where she helped trap those bad guys and kill them to get revenge for killing that other guy. So, like, it was so much more fitting, and but not to get too specific, but, like, let's talk about the show overall.
Okay, and just to say, the main character, the botanist, this David Schwimmer.
Safi, you've already said that now.
No, I didn't say his
You did.
name.
You said he was Ross from Friends. He's Ross from Friends, Safi.
That's what I kept calling
He is
him,
Ross from Friends.
Because it's an easier name.
I bet people in his real life, they say, "Hey, Ross," and he says, "Hey, how's it going? I'm David Schwimmer."
Actually, I wonder if he is married and he has children, because I think he seems like he would be a good dad. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong.
It feels like a weird thing to say because I don't know.
I can't help it.
It feels kind of gay.
Well, I know that, but I mean, it was such a crappy. The problem with the show, there's too many holes in the plot, and too many inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Way too many.
Bad writing.
We've been through this before 1,000,000 times. And we'll say, oh, okay, it was probably because of this. Or maybe this happened because of that. We could actually insert maybe some kind of logical explanation to what was happening and fill in the blanks.
Yeah, we have to assume for ourselves all these different things. Like, a big gaping hole for me would be in the finale when they said that they didn't have enough serum to bring back all those other people, but then Anthony magically revives all those other people without any explanation, is objectively bad storytelling and objectively bad television. All he does is he looks off screen and then they cut away like he's going to magically do something, and it doesn't make any sense. And all that they had to do is just add one line that said, oh, well, actually, I figured out this. But even then it would feel too convenient because you already said earlier that you didn't have enough serum to bring them back. So how did he just bring them back all of a sudden? Well, because they wanted to copy my idea. But we'll get to that, Safi. I mean, you're obsessed with holes.
Yeah, but so anyway, in fact, there was a movie and a book called Holes, and that's what the name of the show
you know what they're doing with it now, Safi? Disney is making a gender-swapped remake of Holes, and it's going to be a TV show instead of a movie, which means basically a miniseries. So
I starred this guy who was on Glee, and I can't think of his name right off the bat. I just saw him on a Hallmark movie, so Anyway,
You like
as a
Holes,
grown-up-
Safi. You like that movie and the book.
No, I've never read the book or seen the movie, actually.
Yeah, you did. You're a liar.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Safi, you are literally famous on YouTube for playing Fallout New Vegas while the Holes theme song plays.
Marco, shush up.
You are.
I'm talking about holes.
That's from the movie. That song was from the movie.
Oh, okay.
I played the song.
Okay, well, anyway. So
Hey everybody,
we
it's
could
Safi
not-
and Marco.
it-
Oh wait,
the
I already did.
plot
I already
is so
did that.
screwed up with the whole
Ooh!
the
I just
inconsistencies
finished
are
the
the
Goosebumps
worst.
season
They're
2
worse
finale.
Than the whole. Meaning
They're worse
they
than the
say
whole.
one thing,
Now,
and then something
this
else happens
episode-
to contradict it.
yeah,
That's what I
didn't
mean
have
by
a title.
inconsistency. You can't
They
have
couldn't have
that
at least
story.
come up with their own title
Stupid.
because the
And
writers
you
of
know
the
what-
show,
you know what happens?
they
to
don't
the
have any
story?
of their own ideas.
can't
They
take
like
it
to take other
serious.
people's.
Yeah, and it falls apart because
So let's get
it's
into
like,
this fucking
okay, well,
terrible episode.
that
This was
hasn't
a
been
terrible-
resolved, so I can't
terrible
enjoy
finale.
anything else because
It had so
I'm
many
still thinking about that.
inconsistencies,
And
it
then
was
another
just
thing
a
comes
string
up, and
of
it's just
things
like
happening,
a string of
and
things
then they
that come
get
up
undone.
that completely
Very
take you out of it. But
anticlimactic.
I would like to say
They
what
even
I
say
think are
in
the
the
main
episode,
issues with
"Ooh,
this
this is really
season,
anticlimactic," and then it happens
Okay, well,
anyway.
My main issues were
Uh,
the inconsistencies and plot.
yeah, this was-
The
this was
inconsistencies
bad.
Are the worst.
It wasn't
And the
as
music,
bad as last
for the
season's
most
finale, but it was really, really bad.
Number one,
and for a reason
this was a
that
big problem with
is
this season.
a
It
lot
was so
different than you
bad,
could imagine.
I think you could
So,
come up, you could create a
First, the
Goosebumps
teens
season
go
2
into the
drinking
test
game,
site to
and
save
all
their
that
dad.
you have to do,
and they save
is
him
take
within
a shot
the first 3
every
minutes
time
of the episode.
a character shows
And
up out of nowhere.
The big
Like,
thing
for some
is
reason,
that they
throughout
have to
the
flee
whole
from
season,
the big villain of the
characters would
season,
just
which is a
magically show
giant
up out of
CGI
nowhere.
black
And
goose
for
spaceship.
instance,
So
and Monster
basically,
Blood, which wasn't
this
about
whole
Monster
season
Blood at all.
literally
It was
could be
just a
tied
piece of
into
shit
Venom
episode about
from
like,
Marvel. Like that's what it feels
perfect,
but then I drink black goo because I'm
an
feels like Venom 4
The
Goosebumps
real
edition.
original book,
And
Monster Blood,
yeah, the big
was
villain
one
of
thing.
this season is a
One
giant
thing.
CGI
Completely different.
spaceship.
In fact, if anybody know what silly putty is,
And it comes to life
that's
and
what
it
reminded
kills
me
you.
of when it starts off like silly putty.
Well, it
gets
expanded.
so
It
big.
The fake
expands.
doctor,
Monster Blood
she's
expands.
supposedly
is known
a good
for
guy. She's like
expanding and
a
expanding,
girl boss
whereas
good
the
guy,
Blob
but
doesn't really expand
not
a
anymore.
lot. It
For
still
some reason,
expands,
she
but
just
it's
kind of
different. You know,
turns back
it's
and
a lot
forth
different.
for
This
the
is blood
convenience of the
from a
plot.
monster.
Back
She
to-
locks the kids
into a
down
blob.
in
Back to
the
what I
Totally
was
different.
basement.
back to what I was
guess you
trying
could
to
call
say.
it the test site. She locks
in that
them down
episode,
there for no reason
twin,
at all.
And by the way, there's also
You'd
a ton of
think it
political
was
agendas
because
this
she's
season.
like trying
Instead
to
of gay
protect
shit,
the
you got
world from the
lesbian
goo.
shit. They
No,
got
and there's
not
honestly
really at
so
all.
many
one line
layers
where
to
it
this
says,
decision making
sexuality
that
is a
needs to be
spectrum
studied
and
because
a bunch of
you're
annoying,
thinking like in
stupid,
reality
mentally
she
ill
admitted
bullshit like
before
that.
she
It's
sent
just
them
that
down
there's
there.
any of that,
They
really.
they joked about the
only
pronouns of a
to
rabbit
get
that's
somebody
hopping
out
by.
of a pod
They said,
and to get them
I
back
hope
into being a
that he
human
something, and
is
then the girl
by
says
injecting
it's,
them
what
with
if it's
the
a she
serum
or
that
something
her father
or she
started
and it's like
and
nobody
she
in the
perfected,
90s would be
I
talking
can't
about
remember.
pronouns at all
So
because
she
nobody back then gave
actually
a fuck
went down
about
into the basement
pronouns.
before and she
never
defeated
would have happened
that
ever.
monster that
It's just
killed
fan
Hannah
fiction
or
from
put Hannah
these
in a
people
pod.
who live in their little
And
Hollywood bubble. And they don't know what
the
they're
more and
talking
more
about.
I think about it, the more and more it pisses me off. Like all the
the
little
bubble of
potholes
retards
and things.
The bubble of
Because
retards.
then there's another thing we
and
need
so
to talk about with
in this
Hannah.
episode, she's
Later
trapped in
on.
the elevator.
I feel
the
bad
blob
for Hannah, man.
has
Hannah was
magically
done
fit
dirty.
itself into the elevator
Hannah
shaft, and his
fucking Maddie, they
captured
were
her
done
and
dirty
has
in
the
this
elevator
show.
hostage.
Let's just say that.
And
but,
then out of nowhere,
she admitted
her
that
brother
like she's
shows
been down
up
there a
and
million
his
times. And
girlfriend
she
kind of
defeated the
shows
monster
up
all by
to
herself.
save her.
But
And
for
this
some
is
reason,
something that, like, okay, if
she
it
thinks
happened
that,
one
like,
time
okay,
throughout the
them saving
season,
their dad, that's a
you
little
could
too
excuse
far.
it. That's a little
but
too
it
dangerous.
happened all the
Let's
time.
lock them down there forever,
all the time,
so that throughout the
She
season
called
she
them.
can bring more attention.
Safi,
Excuse
all
me,
the
so
time.
that she can bring
And
more
it wasn't
attention
like,
to
this
this
is taking
area.
a long time. It
So-
was like
because
the
like
most convenient
maybe an
times.
actual
characters
investigation
would
could
just
happen
show up
because
out of nowhere.
That's another kind
Oh,
of
I'm
big
here
plot
now.
hole if you think
Oh,
about
hey,
it too.
I'm
Like,
here.
there was
And
no
it was especially
investigation
bad in the
into
first
those
couple of
kids'
episode
disappearance
where,
into this area.
Frankie,
into this
who
whole
Safi
testing
thinks she's a
site,
10.
like it is just
She
so
would
bizarre.
come out of nowhere.
The gaps in logic and the
She
gaps
would come
in
out of
reasoning that
nowhere
these writers
onto
took
the scene scene. Like
so
she
that
would
they could
just
tell this.
pull up
Like that
string
one part
of plot
where
conveniences
Joe Jr.
and
Jr.
string
Trey is
of
trying to break into the
stupid
basement,
shit,
and she just pulls
basically.
up on him, and she's
So
like,
if
"Hey,
you're
what
following
are you
any
doing
of this,
there?
which
it's not like I'm going to stop you or
if
anything,
you are,
even though you're committing a crime.
you
but, hey,
deserve
what
a
are you
cookie."
doing there?
And I actually do have cookies.
What are you doing
because
there? You know, like
we have
that's
been
what would
eating
happen. And
homemade
it's like,
chocolate
do
chip
people
cookies
in New
for
York
dessert
really
now
just pull
at
up out of nowhere? Like I would
our
not have
household,
expected
and I have
out of all
actually
the states
made a
in
new
the
batch
US
just
that, like,
yesterday,
in New York,
and so
people just
if
pull
you're
up
able
out
to
of
follow
nowhere
it,
all
I'm giving
the
you
time.
a cookie
Like, they
right
just
now,
show up in
but I'm
places.
going to eat
It's
them all, so you
insane.
can't have it. Actually,
The amount of
so
showing up
suck
people
on
doing
that.
this show. So
The
anyways,
other big problem with the season was that
yeah.
everything
Somebody just
had to
commented
connect,
on my
which
video
really
I made about it
weakened
on
the show.
Instagram, and they said, "Wow, yeah,
They
I know.
did not
This
give
this
each
is
episode
crazy,
enough
because
time
as soon as I
to
tell
do
you
the
guys what
Goosebumps
happened
stuff.
with
They
this
didn't have
episode,
enough
it is gonna
episodes.
Well,
it
no,
is gonna
and also
blow
because
your
they were
mind.
focused too much on connecting everything,
So
and on the overarching story. So, like
Let's
for
see.
instance, the haunted car
Yeah, they're
episode.
locked
there's
down
only
there
like
for no
5
reason
minutes
other
of the
than
haunted car. There
That's
needs to
really
be a
good.
plot
in
that
the
happens.
episode. And it's
Because
sad
yeah,
because
she's
it
been
was
down
really
there a
good,
million times,
and the
she's
boy who
got
cried
the serum
monster
was
that
my
could,
favorite. In fact,
stop
I
any
think
of these
that was the
monsters,
best episode of the season.
and the way that they figure
that was
out, they
really
figure
good,
out
but
a
all
plan
these
within
stories
like an hour
were hindered
to disable
by
the
fact
ship,
that everything
turn
had to
off
be
the
connected,
power, and escape
and
the
we
hatch.
have to do all this
So
other
it
stuff
took
in these
these
episodes,
people
and
who
then they
aren't
were short
scientists
episodes
at all,
too.
like 5 minutes to come up
You
with
had
this
that Monster
plan,
Blood episode. It was like
and
30
it
minutes
works
long and shit
pretty
like that. Like,
perfectly.
they made them
There's
shorter.
almost nothing bad that happens except for they try to do the fake out thing
So-
in movies and shows where someone has to stay behind
It's
What?
just-
to do something while the other people escape.
all
And
the stuff we watched.
in this
movies,
scenario, it is
TV
Anthony.
shows, I've never
He
seen so
volunteers
much
to go out
inconsistency.
there and
I just
disable the
I
ship
cannot
and turn off the
believe
power so that they
it's
can
that
all escape.
They thought that
And
would be a good
he's
thing.
got to stay behind
Because, I mean,
because
it would be
something
blatant.
happens or something. It's
And-
stupid.
Oh,
you know
a
that he's
lot
going
of
to be
it is
okay
very
because
blatant.
he's Ross from Friends.
especially when they stole
And,
from me.
I want to say what.
And then
I
he
liked
comes
about
out, but
it.
he comes
Okay.
out at the
And
very
I like-
last second.
You like
and
the
now
cast.
here's the thing.
Were really
Earlier
good.
on,
Especially Frankie.
they said that
She was your
people
favorite.
can only
You
get
don't
out
stop
of the
with the
pod.
Just admit it,
if they have
Safi,
been
just
injected
admit
with
it.
this serum.
I'm
Just
so
admit
sorry.
it.
I'm not going to continue this.
And
Just
yet,
admit it.
I'm not gonna
they
continue
only
this
have
review.
one
Continue
dose of
to
that
do
serum. They gave it to
Admit it,
Anthony.
Safi.
All of a sudden,
You like the cast a
Anthony
lot.
brings up all the other
Who's
people
your favorite
that were
person
in
in
the
the
pod.
cast?
All the other people, all those teenagers, Hannah, his
Yeah.
brother, all those people up
More
there,
experienced. Maybe
after
they were better directed
saying that
in
they
a certain
couldn't do
way.
that.
As to
So
acting,
I don't know. I guess
I thought-
these
it
fucking
seemed like
writers,
they were
they just do
doing
what
it
they
on
want to
their own.
do.
And I thought David Schwimmer
And,
did a really good job. I mean,
Yeah, he
I
magically
would
saves them
never
all.
have
The
expected
doctor,
him to
the
do
fake doctor, she
as
just
good a
ran
job
off.
as
She's
he
nowhere
did.
in
Now,
sight. She
And
just
I do want to bring up the fact
disappeared.
that-
Who knows what
Now,
happened
this
with
was a-
her?
this was
She
kind
doesn't
of
show
a
up until
stupid
later on
anomaly,
when it's convenient. So
which is
yeah, she's
another-
just gone.
but
She's
in
not
this
making
case, it
sure
was
that
inconsistent.
they're locked down there. She didn't
if-
think
if
that,
you
oh, maybe they
saw
could
the
think of
original
that
Stay Out of the
easy
Basement,
way to get out of the
dad
hatch and escape by
his
just disabling the
personality
power
completely
so
changes.
that the hatch
Otherwise, it's not him.
opens.
It's a plant guy that looks like him, a replicant.
Now,
Kind of like,
Here's
anyway,
the part where
so does-
I get
so does
really
his
pissed off,
for about
if
2
you guys
seconds.
can believe that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean,
So, I know
he
that
said
a lot of
But
people
Safi-
on this
the way he
channel
looked,
probably
the way he
haven't
talked,
seen
the way
my
he
older
moved,
videos on
completely
Goosebumps
different.
because
Last
I've been
2
doing
seconds.
videos
The funny
on
thing is
Goosebumps
that what you're
since,
saying,
I think like
you're
2021
basically
or
just
so.
referencing something that
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
said
about
was one of the main
2021.
problems was that they
And
didn't
one of the
give
first
enough
videos that I
time to
made
the
was
Goosebumps
actually like a
stories.
fan
such
pitch
as
video.
Example.
him
And it was a sequel
turning into the
pitch
bad
to
version
Cuckoo Clock
for
of
2
Doom.
seconds, and then it's
It was
over.
posted in
And
December
it's really
of
sad because he did a
2021,
really good job,
and
the
it
way
only
that,
has
like,
15 views.
because you didn't know what was going to happen.
And the
And then
video
when he opened
at
that
the end
door,
of the pitch, basically,
he
if you
showed up
guys,
with that
I hope you guys, if
completely
you're
new
watching
shirt,
this video, you
and he
have
had
seen
his hair combed and
Cuckoo
everything.
Clock
and you
of
could
Doom
just tell.
before.
he's evil as shit
you know
now.
the story of Cuckoo Clock of Doom.
CJ better get the hell out of here.
If you don't,
and
for
it's
any
like,
reason,
wow,
I will tell
did
you,
a
at the end of that
transformation
story,
without even talking,
Daniel's
without
sister
even
Tara
saying anything, you could tell that's
is
a completely
gone.
different
She has
character.
disappeared
and
from
they completely
everywhere
wasted that.
because
Like, that was so good.
he knocked
and they
off the year
completely wasted it.
1988,
And I would
which
say
was the year that she was
this
born.
season was
so
like a
at the
big,
end of the story, he's like, "Oh, maybe
list of,
someday
like,
I'll go and
wasted
save
potential
my sister."
and missed opportunities.
So I came
like,
up with this,
especially because
pitch,
they have
which
fewer episodes.
I think I'm gonna private
and
all those
some of them were
pitches
really
because
short.
I think that I need
and
to
they
now
had all
because
these plot
fucking
holes. Like,
writers
I really
suck,
think like
and they can't
needed
write
someone
unless
who's like
they
a
steal
good
from
writer
other
to
people
like
who
go
are
through all the
better writers.
scripts and give them
so
notes.
I came
and
up
say,
with this
like,
idea
what about
where
this? What about
in
this?
the
What about
ending
this?
of
Because
the
I guarantee,
pitch,
like, if like an
the big
actual good
twist
writer
would
did
have
that,
been
then they would have
Daniel
like
is
come
an
up
old
with better
man,
scripts. Because it
finally
really
gets
doesn't
his
feel
sister
like
back.
there was any
His sister
editing,
Tara,
and it doesn't feel
she's
like
like
there was
9
any
years old,
like
and so the
questioning of
twist
like, oh,
is
we want to
that
do
now
this, and we
he's
want
this
to do that.
old
And
man,
it's
he's
like,
about to die,
someone should have been there
and
and
he's
said,
got to
no, that
take
doesn't
care
make
of
sense.
his
Or, no, what
9-year-old
about this?
sister.
Or no,
And
why is this
it would have
character
been like
just
such a
showing up out of
haunting
nowhere?
ending because
like, I don't
she
know,
was
it just
basically
feels like
the villain of
Disney
that
let them do
story.
what they wanted to
so
do
it would have
again,
been like this
and they
like
failed
haunting thing
again.
of like, oh, I got my sister back,
But
I
this
got
time,
everything I wished for,
it's
but
a sadder
uh-oh.
fail because they had a
It's
great
gonna be hell
cast.
because she's a troublemaker. She was
And
really
they
evil,
had,
actually. She was beyond just being a troublemaker.
They have better
she was
stories
evil.
too. I mean,
and so
the books that
I
they
felt
chose
like that
to
was like
quote
a really
unquote
cool
adapt
ending.
were
Like
much better.
he's an old man, and then he
Objectively,
gets
I mean,
his little
Monster
sister
Blood,
back,
Stay Out of the Basement,
and then it would end.
Girl Who Cried
and
Monster,
the Goosebumps
Camp
theme
Nowhere,
would play and everything.
Those
well,
are iconic.
The writers of this
Goosebumps
season
books. In the first season, what did they have?
I don't know for sure.
They had
but I
Go
think
Eat
that
Worms
it's one
and Cuckoo
hell
Clock of Doom
of a coincidence.
and
I think that it is
Haunted
so
Mask,
bizarre.
but they didn't even adapt that. They ruined it. They made it a piece of shit. And
I don't know.
they
I don't know
and that's
what's
a
real
problem,
anymore,
is
guys.
that
Like I don't know what's
they
happening
did not
here.
even adapt
These fucking
the
writers
stories
can't
that
write,
they were
so they
pulling
steal
from.
my ideas.
And
Like,
so it really feels like this show is not Goosebumps.
I mean, just imagine
it's
if
nowhere
these-
near on the
Okay,
level
so
as Goosebumps.
Anthony,
And it
he's
feels
an
like
older
they need
man
to stop
now.
making
He's in his
this
50s or
because
60s.
it's just
I think
it's not
he's
Goosebumps.
40s, 50s.
And if they
don't
just
know.
called it its
50s?
own thing, like The
I mean,
Vanishing,
he looks great for his
nobody
age.
will
He
watch
looks
it,
really,
though.
really good.
That's
Ross
the problem
from Friends.
that they probably
and he
have.
didn't
Nobody
have anything
cares
to do with
about these
stealing
shitty
my idea.
ideas
These
that they
fucking
steal
writers
from
had to
people,
do with it.
you know?
So the idea
Safi?
is that
Well,
now
my
Anthony, he's got
recommendation
his
is
brother.
if they can't
He's got his brother,
tie it in with the
who's
real
who's
Goosebumps
now
in
a
a
kid,
proper way, like
and all the other
have the
kids.
music to the beginning,
And
to the
so he
intro
got what he wanted.
of the episode.
And so these fucking
Quit-
writers stole that
Quit doing
idea.
the titles of these books.
Except it's kind of in
They
reverse
don't have
because
anything to do
Maddie
with it.
was
Yeah.
Anthony's
and
older
just,
brother. So
either
now it's
Make
like
up
a
your
thing
own
where like,
titles.
oh, now the
Or
younger
it
brother
doesn't.
is older than
In
the
this book,
older
the
brother.
show
It's just,
does not relate
but
to
I
Goosebumps,
was
so get
so
rid of Goosebumps
Yeah.
name
flabbergasted
Yeah,
and
I mean,
so
how hard
off
would
of
it-
your own.
How hard would it be
they would steal
to
that?
go
I mean, are
on
you
like?
serious?
And I'm not endorsing AI because AI is terrible and AI is bad. In fact,
Because
this show
like
is probably
I swear,
written with
like
AI. That's
that
how fucking
can't just
bad
be
it
a
is.
coincidence.
But
like that's
You
insane.
couldn't just like
That's
go to an
insane.
AI
and it
generator
isn't
and
a
type in.
coincidence. You
Please
guys
come
have
up
to keep
with
in
a
mind,
title for this
these
episode
writers
that
are
is in the
so
style of an
strapped
old
for
Goosebumps
ideas
title,
that they went on
and then
YouTube
describe the plot.
to
And I
3
guarantee
years ago.
you could have gotten
It would have been I
titles.
think 3 years ago when they
And
wrote
like
it.
the
3
only one
years
that's okay
ago,
was The Boy Who
to
Cried
find
Monster
an
because
idea
that was
from a
telling you
Goosebumps fan
this
video
is not going to be
with
The Boy Who Cried,
15
The Girl Who Cried Monster. It's going to be a different thing. And so that episode gets a huge pass. And guess what? That was the best episode of the season.
That can't be
So
real.
like they
That
should
can't
stop
be real,
pretending like
guys.
this is Goosebumps.
Why would
There
they
was
do-
also too much human drama again. There was
And
a
the
ton of
worst part
stupid
is,
shit like that.
They knew that
Well,
I would
and
watch
what's funny
this
too is
too,
that a
'cause
lot
they
of it
knew I
they just
would
kind of
review
forgot
it.
about because
So
the
that
season
they have
had
no
to end.
shame. And so you
So,
gotta,
like-
you have to
Because the
think
season's
that
too
was
short.
like
Yeah,
a
way
giant
too
middle
short.
finger.
No, not enough
Lazy.
episodes. We've been through
Personally.
this before too.
Lazy.
And I'm not
If
like,
you have
I
the
swear,
season
like,
with
I can't be the
Enough
only one
episodes,
who
if you
thinks
make a
this. I mean,
mistake,
this is
you can afford to make a mistake.
it's too much,
But
guys.
if you
Like,
don't have
and
enough,
so I
and
think
you make a
you know what?
mistake,
I
it
think
looks
I
like a
should be making
glaring
Goosebumps.
error.
Honestly, like if these fucking
And it
writers
sticks
are
out
stealing
too
my
much.
ideas
For instance,
from my fucking
they had this whole love
15
triangle
view
bullshit
sequel
with,
pitch YouTube
you know,
videos
Safi's
that
favorite Frankie,
that like I made
and,
like years
Devin
ago for
and,
fun.
Joe
Like
Jr.
I think that I
Jr.
should be the one
And
making
they had this
Goosebumps,
love
to be quite
triangle,
honest.
and then all of a
I
sudden
think
they
after
didn't.
that poll,
Like after
I
they
think I'm
spent
gonna have
like an
to, because
episode or
these
two
writers suck.
playing
The
around
people who
with
made
it,
the show
making these
suck,
stupid jokes,
and they just
having
just
these
suck.
awkward
They
moments,
just suck
and then
so
all of a
bad.
sudden it
They
didn't matter
took
anymore.
my
And it's
idea.
like that's bad
And
writing.
they didn't even do it
Objectively,
right,
it's bad writing.
because like at first I
you
was
don't
like,
just
wait,
set
like
things up and
it's
then
too
forget
bad
about
that
them.
like they
Like,
didn't
you
stick
have
with
to
this,
have
because
things
even
pay
though they
off.
stole it,
And another thing that
For
never
me,
paid off was that
which even
in
though
episode
I
3,
don't own the
haunted
rights
car,
to that idea in
they
that
had
video,
this character
and I
named
don't
Murph,
own
and he was like
the
this
rights to
real piece of
Goosebumps.
shit
They
criminal
still stole my
bully
idea.
who
It
got
shows that they have
Alex
no
put in
sort
juvenile
of
detention
integrity
center.
as artists
And-
and writers. They have no sort
And they
of
had this
shame,
whole story
no
where
sense of
she's
shame.
like, I gotta get
If
to
they
him and make
stole
him
that
confess.
idea from a
And
pitch
they
video
literally
from
just completely dropped it
2021.
by the end of the season. It never mattered again. They had this
It-
other
it's
subplot
just too
where
bad,
she's like,
though,
I'm
because
sick
like
of my
they
mom
ruined the idea
treating me
too.
like a criminal.
Because then
even
after
though she
all
admitted
these
multiple
people are
times in the
back,
season
and
that
it's
she was a
really
criminal,
eerie and
in other
haunting,
ways. Like
and
she,
it's like, oh, like it's too
Yeah,
bad
she
you
was
did.
wearing it till
All
the
they
end
had
of
to
the
do,
show.
she
by the
did
way, was
other
literally
things
just
that were
ask
criminal
me,
besides the
like
thing that
say,
she
hey,
didn't
like
do.
you know, we saw your
and but
YouTube
that whole
videos. We
plot
really
with Murph,
liked
it
those
went
certain
nowhere.
ideas. Would you
And
mind if
I
we
really
used
felt
those?
like
And
that
I
was
would have been like,
another
yeah,
big waste of
sure.
potential, because
do
I
whatever
felt
you
like
want.
in a
Like,
good show,
but thank you
you
for
would have
asking
brought
me,
Murph
but they
back,
didn't. They didn't
and
even
he would have
ask
been
me.
an
Like,
antagonist along with
like,
the other
it's
antagonists.
just
because
insane what these fucking
that the
writers in
other bully
Hollywood think that they
reformed,
can get
or
away
quote
with
unquote
nowadays. It is
reformed.
absolutely
So
insane.
it would have been so much better.
So,
like it just.
What ends up happening is
And
Anthony
I'll
and
give you-
Jen
this is a,
confront the fake
spoiler
doctor,
alert.
and
The
at this
whole
point, we
thing,
find out that
the
she
whole
brought her dad back to
season
life
is about
somehow
an alien
too.
spaceship. Okay.
And the
Because
spaceship looks like Venom.
She's like, I
so
can't
when
do
you
it
look
alone
at it, you think
anymore.
about Venom.
I need
And
my
it's funny
dad to
because
help me because
people,
I'm such a strong,
people
independent
were
man.
thinking of Venom with the poster of the season,
So
and I
she
was
brought
just
him
thinking,
back
oh
to
no,
life.
it's not going to be
And
like
then he
Venom. But
said,
no, it is exactly
you dumb
like Venom.
bitch, you
to the
failed.
point of
And
where
then it
you could
turns
say
into a
that they were
monster.
stealing from Venom
And then
too.
they kill him immediately
even
after
the
he
thing
kills
with like
her.
the Venom
So that
monsters,
was
all
really
the symbiotes.
anticlimactic.
They had a bunch of
So
Venom monsters in the
this
Venom
means,
movie too, and in the
this
comics.
is a stupid idea
So
because
this was
this
basically
means
like them ripping
that
off
everyone
Venom.
who was
They
ever
ripped
in a
off my
pod
idea, and they
is
just
going
ripped off
to
a
turn
bunch of
into
other
a
shit
monster.
too, because they suck. They
And
can't
it
write.
doesn't dawn
They did a
upon
lot of
Anthony
repeating
and
too.
Jen
They repeated a
that
bunch of
this
shit
is
they
the
did
reality.
last season that
They
failed
think
miserably.
that for some reason
and
it's
they did
only
it,
going to happen
again,
to
and
the
it failed miserably a
teenagers
second time
who
too.
Anthony just
So,
revived.
I guess it didn't work
So
out
for
very
some
well.
reason, I guess
Safi?
Trey and Anthony,
Well,
even though they were in
something else to
pods
say.
too,
Yeah, there is.
they're not
There's
going to
not.
turn
there is.
into
There's
goo
too many
monsters because
inconsistencies.
plot
I don't know.
conveniences.
To me,
So
just
yeah, these
thinking
writers
about
suck because they
that
just
the
they pick
whole-
and choose what they
the
want to do and what they
whole
don't want to
season
do.
is about alien
Just like they
spaceship.
picked and
It's
chose
beyond
my
my
idea for my
comprehension.
fucking
Because when I
video.
say it, I can't even believe it
Fuck
myself.
these
Because
writers.
it's a stay
So
out of
what
the
did they end
basement
up doing,
story.
guys?
Like, when
We
they
don't even know
Anthony
where
and
it came
Jen
from.
yeah,
Yeah,
when,
released the
when they
spaceship.
teased the show,
That's
they teased
all
it
they had to do.
saying this is going to be like Stay Out of the Basement, and
They
it's going to
just
be
sent
like
the
an evil
spaceship
plant
back
or
up
some
into
kind of
the
a plant
sky.
monster thing. That would have been so much better.
Because the father's
And
a
then the
botanist.
spaceship.
Yeah.
He studies
But
plants.
The
no,
spaceship sucks
we
up
gotta
the other
have a twist where
monsters,
it's all about aliens.
And then the
like
spaceship
it's the
just
fucking
explodes
X
in the
Files or something. You know,
sky
that,
for no
that's what
reason
they
at
did on the
all.
X Files. Like, oh, you thought that this was going on?
I mean,
Oh,
it's
well,
just
actually,
the stupidest
aliens.
fucking sci-fi story I've ever seen. It's just so bad. It's so fucking bad. They
Right,
could have
Safi?
done that.
That's
this whole
what would
time.
happen, and it was
They could
always
have
so
done that for
disappointing
30
because it's
years.
like, get off of
30
the aliens.
years
You don't care
that
about
this strong,
aliens. young independent girl boss.
Got enough
scientist.
aliens to worry about
She
in
could've
real
just
life, like all the
released
spaceships
spaceship.
flying around everywhere. And,
She could have done
and
that.
the government's actually acknowledging it now.
It's so dumb.
Like you
I
got
hate
aliens
it.
to worry
I
about
hate
for
this
real.
fucking
Stop putting it in the
show.
show.
Oh, weird.
Right,
Okay.
Safi?
And then
so another thing
to top the shit cake
I have
with the
two other
shit
things.
icing,
And one
Anthony
of them
gets
will
to
tie
see the
in
ghost
with
of his dead
how
brother and the
disappointing
ghost of
finale
everyone
was
else.
and how disappointing
And it's like, yeah,
the
fuck
show as
you,
a whole
bye.
was.
And it's really
Number
funny,
one,
by the way, because
I felt like out of all the
there were a
young
couple of
adults,
things
'cause
that
none
I
of them
did
are
like,
kids.
even though I don't want to give the show anything now. I don't want to give
out
it
of all
any
the young
credit
adults,
at all
I thought
because
that
they didn't
Hannah
give
was
me
the
any
best
credit for
one.
my idea.
And she really did a good job of playing the character that she was
Anthony's
supposed to
brother,
be from the
he
books.
kind of acts like almost
so
like
it's really
sarcastic,
unfortunate
like, you know, like
they
we're gonna
didn't
be
adapt
okay,
that
and
actual
it's like,
story
yeah,
into
fuck
the
you,
show.
because
The Girl
they
Next
literally
Door
they
story.
just got to come back
Her
to
whole
life,
character was really
and then
bizarre
they got turned into monsters
because
and
she
had to die.
She
like that was a terrible ending
she
for all
lured
of them.
the
Like they
guy
were in
to
pods
suicide,
for 30 years, suffering.
it's like, why
and
did
then
she
they
do
come
that?
back,
And then it
and
didn't
it's like,
happen.
oh, you get to
and then
have
she
your life
committed
back.
suicide.
And then it's like, no, fuck you.
She forgot about it, which I didn't get her character at all.
The actor
she
who
did
played
such
the
a
brother,
good job of acting. It's
he
really
kind of
too
played
bad
it off
they
in like a
wasted her, too.
sarcastic way, where he was like, "Yeah,
suicide.
we're gonna
The
be
ghost
okay."
did, Safi.
And then
But
they
she,
all
in
walk
real life,
away.
she got
It's just
captured
this
by
show is
the
this was the
aliens.
biggest
They
fuck
pulled
you.
her
This
back
fucking
in
show.
But you
Yeah,
don't really
I
know
fucking
what's
hate it.
happening because, like I
So
said,
at the end,
there's
then
so
we
many
see everything
plot
wrap
holes
up. And, oh
that you
yeah,
have to
by the
watch
way,
the whole
Hannah,
thing to
Hannah.
or try to put it
God, I
together.
can't believe what they
And
did to
also
Hannah, man. I don't
the
understand
inconsistencies.
Hannah as a character.
try to put it
What
together,
the
but the
fuck
inconsistencies,
was
like I
that
said,
character,
minor.
man? Because
anyway.
now they've
And
been
I would
doing
also like to
revisionist
say,
history.
the girl who
Frankie
played the
in
twin,
the last episode
Cece,
says
she
that
would have
Hannah
been
put
perfect to
Devin
play
under
Carly
a trance. I don't see any. There
from
was
the
no
Haunted
evidence
Maps.
of him being put under a
And it's too
trance
bad,
anywhere
and
at all.
because they could still do it.
That's basically
The girl
like
who's
the
in that
writers,
terrible Haunted
in
Mask
hindsight,
episode,
realizing that
they didn't
whole
call
story
her
was stupid,
Carly Beth. They called
and they
her,
gotta find some excuse for
I don't
Devin to
even
be
remember
so
because it just
into
sucks so
her.
bad.
You know, for
But
him
so-
to be so
Like I said,
like
the
interested
casting of
in
this
like
show is
following her and
so
then
much
not
better.
talking
could
on his
easily
phone to his
still do
friends.
the Haunted Mask
But it was
and
never
put this girl as
stated
the
or
Haunted
made
Mask.
clear that he
It
was
would be
under
so
a trance.
perfect. She
And
even
how
looks kind of
would
like the
Hannah,
actress who
as
played
a
her
ghost,
in the
be
original
able
show.
to put him under a
Like, it would be
trance?
perfect.
So here's another
And
fuck
so,
you.
yeah, I thought that was a big missed
Devin stated
opportunity.
in this episode
I also
early
thought,
on,
the kid who played
he
Murph,
thinks that Hannah is
he
still
kinda
alive
looks like
somehow. He says it's
one
really
of the bullies
weird.
from the Haunted
I think
Mask
even
too,
though she's
the
dead,
main
she's
kid
still
who
alive,
put
which
on
is
the
kind
old
of
man
like
mask.
isn't that what they call an oxymoron?
Steve from Chuck and
So,
Steve,
Well,
and who was
the thing
also
is
the main
that,
kid
like,
in
if
Cuckoo
they had
Clock of
stuck
Doom.
with
Oh,
the teenagers
speaking of Cuckoo Clock of Doom,
coming back to life for
Safi's
good
about to
after
learn.
they were taken out of the pods,
Safi's about to learn.
then that
the
theory would have
people who
made
made
sense,
the
and it would have
show
been like, oh, she
copied
wasn't
an
like a
idea
real
of
ghost.
mine.
She was just
Safi?
like a
He's been saying that,
manifestation.
and I
Like,
know
I
what
still
he's talking
don't know. I
Okay.
still don't get it. None of the other
Oh, in
teenagers came back
2021,
as ghosts. None of the other
I
teenagers
released a
came
video
back
that was
as ghosts
a
to like get
complete
people to
idea
come there to commit
for a
suicide. So
Cuckoo
why was
Clock
it
of
just
Doom
Hannah?
sequel.
It doesn't make any sense
And
at
you
all.
remember what happens at the end of the first
But
one,
then-
Safi?
You have that thing with
At
like,
all?
Hannah's still alive, but apparently she wasn't because
With the sister?
if you get released from the pod, you get killed
What
by
happens
turning
with
into
those
a goo
substances?
monster.
Stay a
It just
baby?
Well,
these
no,
writers
no,
they just
he-
have
he-
no
he-
clue.
he
They
gets
have
back
no
to
clue.
where
They
he
don't know what
was,
to do.
and
They suck.
he
This
accidentally
show
makes
sucked.
it so
This
his
story
sister never
sucked, and
existed
everything
because
just
he knocked
fucking
off
sucks
the year
in
she was
Goosebumps.
born.
Oh, yeah.
And then
If
he
R.L.
says, "I'll
Stine
get her
says
back
the show is a
someday."
good show.
And so
He's
in my
saying
story,
a
I'm not
show
going to
is
go
a
through
good
the
show
whole
where they
thing
stole a fan's idea
because I don't want to give the
from
writers
a random
any
YouTube
ideas,
video from
who
2021.
stole it.
Keep that in mind,
But-
guys. A
'cause
random
apparently, I don't know
fan.
why. The video only
I'm a
has
nobody.
15
I'm not a
views,
somebody.
and they
I'm
were
not
one of
like
the 15
some
views 'cause they
infamous
wanted to
figure
steal
on
something 'cause
YouTube
they were
or
too
anything.
lazy to
I'm
come
just
up with their own
me.
ideas.
And they
But,
stole my idea.
at the
Like,
end of
what
the
the hell is
story,
up with that?
The twist was
it's
the
insane.
the main guy, the main kid.
So
he's now an
CC,
old man.
Let's wrap it up, guys.
And
Let's
he never
wrap
bothered
up the
to get his
stupid
sister
ending
back.
of this shitty season. Okay?
And he doesn't. He's
CC is
divorced.
leaving
His
Alex to
wife
go to
left
college.
him,
So once
and
again,
he's
cementing
also
the fact that Alex was a
successful
totally,
at what he does.
totally
And,
huge
but
waste of a character.
his sister actually comes back
because, I mean,
when he's
come
an
on,
old
guys.
man.
I mean, because the
What
whole
was the whole
story
point
is
of that
from her
relationship?
perspective
Like,
instead of his.
Cece isn't even a
So
lesbian.
she finally
She's
gets back at the end.
bisexual or
twist
something, or
is
she
that
just doesn't want to be anything.
he's now an
'cause
old
she's a
man.
weirdo.
He's got to take care of her.
And so, like, she
and
didn't
she
even
was the
need to
same
be
age
with
she
Alex,
was
and
in the
now
first
Alex
one.
and her aren't even
So
going to
it's
be
like,
together. It's just
he
like,
thought
what
that
were
he'd
they
be able
thinking?
to
It's just,
escape her, but
all
he
they
never got
wanted to do was
because
fill in a checkbox.
she finally comes
fill in
back
a quota,
at the end,
fill in a checkbox,
and he's stuck with
and
taking
that's
care
exactly
of her. And
what
what's
they
even
fucking
worse
did. is that nobody can know about her because
Devin is
didn't
not
exist
leaving
anymore.
New York.
So it's like all of a sudden she came
and
back.
he is also now
and so
dating
he's stuck
Frankie
with her.
officially.
And so what does that
And
remind
guess
you of,
what,
Safi?
guys?
The show.
CJ magically got his
Safi?
delivery job back after last
they
episode where
bring
he
the missing
stated
kids back.
that his mom got a
But
new delivery
there's a problem.
driver. And
let's
he
go through
also
it, Safi.
became
Number-
manager
Yeah,
out of
no, I know.
Number
nowhere
one,
and for no
let's go
reason.
through the things that they copied.
Wow! Wow! This show ended on
He's successful
such a good
at his
note.
work.
Wow!
Even though this is a different story, this isn't Cuckoo Clock of Doom.
No, actually,
He
the
makes
show
sure
ends with a
to
big
emphasize
fuck you
in a
twist
line
that
of
basically
dialogue,
confirms
I
number one, this whole
got
finale was for
successful from
nothing.
becoming a
Number two,
botanist.
the writers
He makes
realized
sure
at the
to
very
emphasize
end
on that.
my logic was
Then
what they
he
should have
can't
gone
tell
with because,
anyone
like,
about
at the very
his
end,
brother,
Trey,
just
aka
like
Joe Jr. Jr.
this character
throws up black goo.
can't tell anyone.
That means that
about
he is
his
going
sister.
to turn into
He
a
even
pod
says
monster,
in the show
which
to another character
who knows
they can't
why
tell anyone about
he
these
didn't
people
turn into one
because
faster.
they don't exist anymore.
Like, what are the rules?
So that's another
of, like, how
thing they
long does it
copied.
take?
Number
Like,
three,
it was
now
so
this one's a
convenient
big
for the
one
plot
because it is a
that,
big,
like,
big
people turned into pod
diversion from the
monsters when they
original
did,
story.
and the fact
Stay
that
out of the
Anthony.
basement.
He
In the
had he
original
couldn't
Stay Out
even
of the
figure out that
Basement,
maybe he would turn
it's a
into
normal
one too.
family.
It just,
It's a husband
it
and
blows
wife,
my
and
fucking
she
mind.
is gone
But
to
keep in mind, guys, this also
visit with
implies
the aunt while she's
that
having
Anthony
surgery.
is going to
But
turn into a
in
pod
this
monster as
show,
well.
He is divorced.
So this whole
from his
finale
wife,
was for nothing. They
and
saved their father
that
for nothing.
is unique to my
Trey Joe
idea.
Jr. came back for
And
nothing.
It,
It was all for
from
nothing.
the original book.
And
And of course, the main idea would be
this whole
the
finale
fact
was
that
a
in
waste.
this show,
This whole
they brought
season was a
back
waste.
not only his brother but all the
And,
other kids
yeah.
that went missing,
I don't know what to say.
and they made it like
Except
this
I give this
Twilight
episode
Zone
an
kind
F.
of twist where it's like they're back.
I don't know
now
what they were
forever.
thinking. I don't know why they think.
But then
they
they
thought
aren't
that they could
because
steal
they did
my
this
idea.
really stupid twist that ruined everything.
So
and just didn't
blatantly-
make any sense at all.
And it's sad
but
too
still,
because I mean I
Safi,
thought
what do
like
you think of that?
if they had gone with that.
I mean,
and
does that sound like
this
they
is what I
copied it
would
or
have
what?
done if I were the writers?
There's
I
just
would
too
have
many
stuck
elements,
with that twist.
and it's
of
more believable
the teenagers
that
all
they just
come
copied
back.
little bits and pieces rather than copying
And
the
then
whole thing because
turn it into
that's
more
what they
of
like
like
to
a
do.
a
You know, in the
Twilight
first season
Zone
they
kind
copied
of
Nightmare
drama.
on Elm Street and they
Because
copied all
after
this other
all
stuff.
of those stupid
And so
human
it's
drama
more
moments throughout the
believable
season
that they
weren't
would just
needed and weren't
copy.
necessary.
Look at my video
This
and
was
copy
like the
little
one
bits and
part of
pieces
the
that they
show
wanted to do.
where it was necessary
what do you
and
think?
where you could have had something there.
Now
I
you're-
guess you were
And
right.
so
Now
I
you're
would
all
have
the way
just
over
ditched
there.
I guess you were
the
right.
monster
Get
stuff,
over
and I
here.
would
I
have
don't know
ditched
anything
all
about
that
this video.
crap that they did in
Well,
the second
Taking
half,
off my boots, they're driving
and just
me
had the
crazy.
rest of the
Okay.
episode just be like the Twilight
Yeah, I-
Zone.
I
Like,
only
what
have
if
a couple
like
of
this actually happened? And,
Goosebumps
like those
story
people
videos.
are now
Now I
alive.
think I'm going
like
to
that would
private
be
them
really
all
really
so that
interesting.
the writers stop
and
stealing my
it's
work.
too bad that they didn't do that
without
though. But
asking
yeah,
me
it
or
just
crediting
it would have
me.
sucked anyway because these writers don't know how
You know.
to write. I mean, if you're stealing
think of that,
ideas from
Safi?
a random YouTuber with 600
Well, what do you think? I mean, that's like a
64
big revelation,
subscribers
Safi.
or
I mean,
65.
are you kind of flabbergasted?
You're
are you kind of
you've got
surprised?
problems,
I
man.
mean, these
You
writers
got, you
are
got
so
big
are in
problems.
such dire.
Yeah,
they're
so
in such a dire position
season
that
was
they
a
have
big
to copy a fan's
FU.
video on YouTube.
It's really kind of sad because
bizarre.
It's kind of
I feel like
pathetic.
they had all the right ingredients.
I mean, it's too much
and
coincidence.
I just have
to
this
say that
sad
it's not
feeling
copying.
now. I have
Especially
a
because
sad
the fact
feeling.
that
Like
they
number
made
one is a
him
Goosebumps
divorced,
fan because I
which
feel like
which is only unique
it's
to my
sad that
idea.
this is how bad Goosebumps the franchise has gotten.
Safi?
Yeah, Marco,
It's
I don't know
really
what else
sad.
To say.
It's
It's
like
the first I've heard
we
of
should
it.
be getting.
and,
It's
tell
not
us
that
your
hard,
thoughts
guys.
about
It's
it.
not
I mean,
hard to
you're
make a
a-
Marco,
Goosebumps
I
show.
don't want to.
We should be
something
getting
that's more
like a good
personal for
Goosebumps
you.
show, and I'm
You
also
noticed it
sad
because
because
you knew you'd done this
look
video.
how
I
long
know
the
it.
show lasted.
It was mind blowing.
It lasted for like a week
They
or less,
they did it, and it was
and now
in the
we're all going to
finale,
forget about it
and
because
it's like they're going to end it
we'll move on to
copying
the
me?
next thing because they released
They're
all
gonna
the
end the
episodes
season
at once,
copying me,
and it was only 8
Like, that's
episodes,
just
so
the
it
ultimate fail.
feels like
I
a
mean,
bad
'cause it's
hangover
like-
at the end of this bad season. Like
who
it,
knows
it
what
just,
else they
I'm
copied
so
too? What other
embarrassed for
fans
the
did
people
they
that
steal
made this
little
show, and
ideas from?
they really wasted these
Right?
actors. I loved all the actors that
Who
they
knows?
got.
I don't know.
I think that my favorite was
complaint
actually
very inconsistent,
of the
and I
kids
couldn't
besides
take it
Hannah. She was
seriously,
the best actor
and I was
in terms of
disappointed
acting. But
because I was
CJ,
kind of
I
looking
thought that
forward to
CJ
watching
was
it,
really
and I was also
underutilized, and they
surprised.
just
I
kind of
thought
made
that
him into a joke
The quality of the cast was
after
better,
his like one episode.
and
And
I thought David Schwimmer, who
yeah,
I thought was kind of a,
I don't know.
you know, nothing.
That's a big
much
disappointment. That wasn't
actor,
good.
Sorry.
I think he's a
And by the
likable
way, like
person.
how many times throughout the season did they repeat the
really good,
line
and then
that
they
wasn't
did
that
that
this
change.
isn't good?
He's like that guy. He's
They
like that
repeated
guy that
line
you see
so
at the
many times
gym,
this season.
like on the
You
track.
could take a shot
You go,
every
"Hey,
time
how's it
they
going?"
did
And he'd
and
go,
get alcohol
"How's it
poisoning.
going?
And I would also like to say too, whatever happened to Murph?
Madagascar.
You know the bad kid who Alex just had to get to
Yeah.
Really good.
admit that he started the
and then when he made
fire
that
and
change where
Murph
he's
started the
very
fire.
He's very evil.
And he
That-
just,
yeah.
you-
But like
he
she
hardly had to do
that was
anything.
such an
It was
important
changing
mission
his
for her, and
appearance.
it never
Just
got
subtle
accomplished. And
little
then
changes to his
since her
appearance.
episode
And
was
even
over,
when they
she
didn't
just
show
forgot
him, when he
about
called
it.
CJ
And
up
you know
on
what
the phone,
you know what I'm
and he
thinking?
said,
If I'm
"Hey,
the writer of Goosebumps
CJ,
season 2,
I'm
I'm
gonna
thinking,
need a little
okay,
help over here.
so there's two
Come
bullies
over
on the
here."
show.
And
You
I
got
was
Joe
like,
Jr.,
"Uh-oh,
Junior Trey,
he's the monster,
and you got Murph.
And CJ's
Why
about to get
if
fucked up.
if Trey
He strolls
has
on over there
reformed
like all
and
the
he is
characters
now like
did
a
in the
good
season,
guy,
like they just
then
stroll
you
on
need
over.
a new
like,
bully.
I mean,
And so why don't you turn Murph into the new bully?
That's
and
what's
have
weird. They
him
treat it
be
like a small
one
town.
of the villains of the season.
This is New
Because
York.
then it would be like you're connecting everything together
Yeah.
more. And it makes more sense.
If they-
But like Murph is just nowhere.
If they made it
what
take
happened
place
to
in
Murph?
Ohio,
He crashed
a little
into
town
a
in Ohio,
thing. He
it would have
wasn't
been
dead.
so much
He
more
was sitting there
believable.
like, what the
and
fuck
I
is
wouldn't have
happening
criticized
right
that.
now?
Like,
And then
oh,
he's
characters
just
show up out
gone.
of nowhere.
Like, how does
Well,
that make
no
sense?
shit, they show up out of nowhere.
How does that
It's
make
a
sense,
small
guys?
town
That he
in
wouldn't
Ohio.
go to Alex to figure out
So-
what happened to you, man.
Right, Safi.
What happened to
Yeah,
that
well, the
car
problem is
too?
you
I
wouldn't
just
have all that diversity.
nothing in this show makes sense.
just,
Nothing.
I don't
It's just
know,
all
Safi.
as much.
I don't
It
know,
just- it
man.
just
Maybe
doesn't
there's another
exist.
fan who made a
know.
video that they stole that idea from. Who
So
knows?
anyway, I'm in the small
So-
Ohio town.
I didn't
think
expect
there
to
was
be
like too
making
much
this
diversity.
video. I
There
didn't
was like
expect
a
it to
nice
turn out
amount
like
where
this,
it wasn't
But
too much and it wasn't too little. It
There's-
was
It was
like
kind
a
of subtle.
truth is
Yeah,
stranger
I-
than fiction.
I thought
And so
it
maybe
was so much
they
better in
didn't
terms
actually
of like
steal my
having a bunch
idea,
of
and it's
different
just a
types of
complete
people than the
coincidence.
first season where
It's just a
you
complete
had the main
coincidence.
girl.
I don't
She
think
was
so.
like
I
half
don't think
Asian
so.
and she was
I'm
like
not gonna
really,
give
really
these
like
writers the
a
benefit of the
know-it-all
doubt. No
bitch,
way.
feminazi, CUNT.
So please like this video.
And then you had the
comment.
Asian
What did
girl,
you think of
Carly
this
Beth,
terrible,
fake.
abysmal
She
season?
was like a big CUNT.
Shout out,
And then-
for
shout out to the
heaven's
cast.
and then you had the
because
black guy, and
they
he was a
deserve
giant
better.
DICK.
They deserve
You know,
like
and then
all
you
of them
had the gay
deserve their
guy,
own
and he was
Goosebumps.
just
And
like
by
a
the way, like
flamboyant clown
Frankie
cartoon.
didn't even get
And
her own
didn't even
Goosebumps
act like
show.
like a normal
She
person.
didn't even get her own
and
story.
it's just
where
like they
she
did
was
such a
she
bad
had,
job
like, a
at like
character study
creating real people.
and
Like that, basically,
shit. Like she
their
didn't have
idea
any
of
that.
real people was like just a bunch
So,
of
yeah.
gross stereotypes.
Yeah.
And whereas this season, it's
And
like,
Devin-
oh look, these
Devin
are just
kinda
a bunch of
petered
real
out,
people.
too.
Like,
Devin's
they
character-
acted like real people.
He didn't really have his
And they
own
were all really
Goosebumps
likable.
character either.
They were all
Character
someone you'd like to
episode.
hang out with.
Well,
Safi would love to hang out with all of them too. I bet.
And then
thing
please
about
subscribe
the
to our
music.
channel if you'd like
And
to
I
see more
guarantee
honest
that if you
videos
live in
about
New York
Goosebumps and
City,
honest reviews.
in a
Because I will
borough,
keep it honest.
you
And
don't just
honestly,
listen to rap music.
maybe
Yeah,
after a
all
few
those
days,
people.
because maybe
Don't just
people
listen
do
to
want to
only
go back
rap
and watch
music.
that
No.
Cuckoo
That
Clock
there's
of
a-
Doom
because, I
video
mean,
so
they're
that
in
they
New
can
York
see
City.
for
They have
confirmation that
access to
that idea was
Broadway.
stolen.
They have access to the opera. They have
I am going to
access
be
rock,
privating
to
all
every
those
kind of
videos
music.
because I don't want
Because
these
people
bad
come in and
writers
perform.
to be
And
stealing
it's just
these
not gonna all be
ideas.
rap. I mean, to me, that's
Like,
another
I don't know. I just don't
thing.
think that that's like
And you
I
know,
thought
it
a
would be
good
like
thing
that in a
for
small
writers to
town
do is
in
like
Ohio.
steal
No, this is
ideas
what
from
this
fans.
is. You'll like this.
So
This is
goodbye,
what happened
everybody.
to me
See you
last
soon.
night while I was doing the episode 7 review, and like the whole review got interrupted because of like printing going on for like 30 minutes long. But the worst example of the music was in episode 6 at the end.
The Red Rum song?
No, after you see David Schwimmer and he is in a pod,
and it's like a horror scene. They're like, oh no, he's trapped in there. Oh no, what are they gonna do? they cut to the credits and they're playing like this Latin song.
Oh, it was a Hispanic.
And it was, and I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm saying it because I don't know what the title is or anything about it, but it was so meaningless and it didn't fit with anything at all. And there was literally no reason to play that song. Like, I don't know, like, is Hannah, because I think that was the girl next door. Is Hannah Hispanic and that's why they're playing it? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. It was just like, why are they playing this?
It's the policeman, the policewoman who was with the botanist when they were kids.
So she was playing that exact song on her car radio in the present?
No, I don't know, but they're Hispanic.
So what?
Well,
that's not a good reason to play a song. They just showed a serious moment with a guy trapped in a pod. They should be playing, like, dark music, like, to gear you up for the final 2 episodes, like creepy music to like set the mood.
That's what I'm saying. The only time they did have a small part of music where it could have easily been a Goosebumps, like, you know, when they're doing their thing and something is going on and it's like a setup to some major event. They would play this like Goosebumps music. It's kind of just a, you know, like they're walking along and anyway, and that was it. Hardly played anything at all.
Well, so my closing thoughts, I would like to say, the worst episode is like a 7-way tie between all the 7 episodes, other than the one that I like. Those are all the worst episode. And then the best one is The Boy Who Cried Monster, because it didn't advertise itself as adapting any of the books, and it did its own thing, and it actually had a really good idea, but the really good idea was just, let's combine 2 other books into one, and like, I really wish that would just be its own thing, like that one episode, because that was really, really a good idea, and I was sad, too. They kind of made it a joke at the end, where they cut off his head, and then they just make a bunch of jokes about it. I thought, like, that was such a shitty thing to do, like, after it was such a serious episode, and it was actually kind of creepy, too.
Just to if you think, like, boy, he's really, like, casually talking about somebody getting their head cut off. The head was still talking.
Yeah, it was talking the whole time. It was so cartoony, and such a letdown.
That's what I wanted to make clear, because this wasn't a violent thing where, he was trying to do something with this black fluid, and they had to stop him. But the thing is, he wasn't dead. The head was talking, and it was like he said, it was kind of funny and cartoonish, which it really shouldn't have been, because the whole thing was a horror story. So
I'll admit, I would watch that episode again, that one episode, and I would also consider, and it's really sad because I'd like to watch all the other stuff again if it was actually good. Like, I really liked all the actors, so it's kind of unfortunate that the show was so bad, because like, there's little moments in there that make you think, like, this could have been really good, and it wasn't. It was terrible. Safi, why don't you give your closing thoughts, your food review, and then I'll give my food review.
I gave it a D, but we give food reviews to movies and to a series, a whole series, not like an individual episode. So this was a series of 8 episodes. So what I gave it was a fake hamburger. And when I say that, I'm talking about one of these hamburgers that has plants in it. And it's not really beef. And the thing is, vegetarians, at least the true vegetarian, they don't want to eat meat because an animal was killed to get this meat, whether it be a fish or a chicken or a cow or cattle. And so why why would anybody want to eat if they're so against this, like morally, a hamburger, even if it's full of plants and it resembles, quote, by the way it looks maybe, a ham. Why would they want to eat that if they're so morally against eating live animals? And so to me, it's kind of like what this show was. It's kind of a fake Goosebumps.
Yeah.
And so this is a fake hamburger, fake Goosebumps. And we've had some experience with this recently because Marco's making a movie and they're doing some scenes with food in a Hindu temple, and they are vegetarians. And to be respectful of being in this temple, he had to get the fake hamburger meat, and it stunk. It was gross.
It smelled so bad I was about to throw up, and it tasted like it smelled too.
It was part of a scene where they're pretending, but I mean they were trying to be respectful of the location site. So anyway, so that's what it is. It's a fake Goosebumps. That's what I said. The best thing they can do is disengage and make it their own.
Yeah.
Force them to create something on their own.
You know what they should do?
Horror? Fine. Create something on your own. Give it your own name. If you want to make it Goosebumps, you're going to have to do better than what you're doing because right now you suck at it.
Oh, well, you know what they should do, Safi?
What?
In order to disengage, they should be like the alien spaceship at the end of the season and fly up into the sky and explode because it just sucked.
Away.
No, it exploded.
I didn't think it exploded.
It exploded. It exploded, Safi.
No, I don't believe that.
It exploded.
I don't agree.
I'm serious, Safi.
I thought it just.
It didn't fly away.
Why would it explode?
I don't know. That's why it was so dumb. But anyway, I think it did.
I don't think so.
They didn't say. They didn't
No,
like.
they didn't say.
We didn't say. So I can assume what I want to assume. It exploded. Like the potential of the show, it exploded into nothingness.
Okay, well, I don't believe that. But anyway,
And
Marco,
my food review.
Yeah.
And also, secondly, I'd like to see this entire cast and then different writers, different directors just steal all these people and steal this location and make a good show. Because you got New York, that's a good location. Very scary to be in New York right now. And you got this because you know why. You've seen Taxi Driver. And then you got the cast. The cast is so good, and you could make such a good show. I could imagine watching these kids. Well, not kids, young adults. I could imagine watching these guys in a show for seasons and seasons and seasons, with good writing, good directing, and good music. They could easily have a great show. And I would watch them because I'd like to see all of them more. I think CJ was drastically underutilized too. I think that he was basically the comedic relief of the show, and he was probably one of the better actors in terms of how he acted. But in terms of my food review, I thought about the second time that I went to Tokyo Grill Buffet, which was for my birthday. I shouldn't have done it. It was a big mistake. I should have gone to Red Lobster or gotten food on Gold Belly because it wasn't a very good experience, especially because of the fact that something I can't say on camera, but and so but the dessert was kind of a letdown because they have this big refrigerator of all these little pieces of desserts. Little tiny servings, so a spoonful or just a single tiny little serving, and you really want to try all of them because you want to see oh, what's that taste like? What's that taste like? And you get really curious, and so there were a lot of desserts that I didn't have the first time, and I got a ton of desserts even though I had birthday cake at home.
Good birthday cake.
Oh, actually, it wasn't as good as last year's. And the ice.
You don't think so?
No.
Oh, it was really good.
It needed more mint flavor, and then also I think the ice cream was better. Oh no, it was the ice cream because we had Eddie's ice cream instead of Haagen-Dazs, and it just tasted terrible. It's coffee ice cream, but it didn't really have much of a coffee flavor. But that's beside the point. So the dessert there, some of the things that I would compare to the season are they had this caramel flan.
No, flan is caramel.
Okay, well,
no other kind of flan.
no, they called it cream caramel.
Yeah, that's
and
what they call cream caramel.
It was terrible. It's like a little blob of caramel, but it doesn't taste like caramel at all.
It tastes like eggs
with
sugar.
And they put like this liquid on top of it, and it was terrible.
Well, the liquid's
terrible.
Caramel.
And I love caramel, and I love flan. So it's nothing like flan. And that's what I would say is like the show. It's like you're saying this is Stay Out of the Basement. It's not Stay Out of the Basement. You're saying this is Welcome to Camp Nightmare, and then it's not. And so then they had this tiramisu. It tasted nothing like tiramisu. It wasn't very flavorful. A lot of the desserts were just not very flavorful. And I think maybe it has to do with like not as much sugar or something. Like I have no idea.
If somebody can correct me, but I don't think they're into desserts.
Yeah.
I mean, if they are, they have their own special kind. But these were
American desserts.
Except flan is Spanish. It's from Spain. But
Black Forest cake they had, which Safi can admit it was not Black Forest cake.
No.
She tasted it.
It's supposed to have cherries and chocolate
and all it was just chocolate cake with chocolate icing. And then they had this rainbow jello thing, which I thought was the absolute worst thing that they had. It was this little square with all these different colors, and I was really excited because I thought, I can't wait to try all these different Jell-O flavors together in one. And it was literally, there was no flavor at all. So it was just like eating a square of gelatin, unflavored gelatin. And then finally, the one good thing, which was the Boy Who Cried Monster episode, they had a mint mousse, which was like mousse in this little cup, and it was mint flavored. Safi had some too. Mm-hmm. I gave Safi all the desserts to try. She got stuffed and threw up in the parking lot.
I did not. That's a lie.
We were about to throw up because we just ate everything there. And the mint mousse was the one good thing that I had. It tasted really good. It was very refreshing. And yeah.
That's it. So that's our review, and I'm sorry if that's offensive to people.
What?
But we're not going to lie about
I'm not sorry at all.
We're not going to lie about what we see and say it's good if it's not.
Fuck the show. They copied my idea.
I would have liked to have... I gave it a D. That was my letter grade, but we don't do that. But if I was to give it a letter grade, that's what I would give it, and I guess Marco would probably give it an F.
No, I would give it a D.
Yeah, but what saved it for me was the casting. I think they did so much better with the casting. And it's too bad that they got wasted. Because the story, I can't believe that do they not read books? I mean, I read tons of books. I'm reading one right now. I've read books all Christmas. It's a series. And it's not a real big important thing, but I mean, the more you read, the more you can construct a story. You can tell what's good and what's bad, and this thing was not good. Sorry. So, and I also want to say, R.L. Stine did not. It doesn't look like the way he didn't have cameo in it, and
he did not have a single cameo in this season.
He just his name was on because Goosebumps.
That's not a cameo, though.
No.
That's not a cameo.
Goosebumps is his. So there's no denying it. He had it. He wrote the books forever and ever.
This is the one Goosebumps thing where R.L. Stine does not have a cameo. That is how little the people who make this show care about Goosebumps.
So why make a series?
I don't know.
Associated with Goosebumps.
I don't know.
There's a reason. And I guess we just don't know it. But the reason could be maybe Disney wants it that way. Or they wouldn't accept it. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. We don't know.
I don't know. I'll just make my own.
So anyway, that's it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. We are at number
664.
Okay, so that's it. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.